Welcome back to another episode of Value Nation, special guest episode. We're just going to dive right into it. Here we go. Now, seeing that this is my first guest that I've actually brought on the show, like we previously had Mike Moore on who works with us, but Charlie set that up. And Charlie brought on another guest. Charlie set up some guests at trade shows. I needed to pull my own weight. So, I finally did it. And there's a lot of info on this guest online. His Wikipedia page is unbelievable. I mean, this man was born in Botswana. He speaks 7 different languages. Fun fact, he actually learns English from cereal boxes while in Botswana. If you watch the film close, you will see him on the field tripping Missouri defenders to help Auburn win the 2013 SEC championship game. Really kind of took my heart away on that one. Tiger Woods' famous stinger, actually, he taught him how to hit that shot. Jack Nicklaus once called him on a Friday to fly to Augusta for a private golf match, and he stated he had closings to handle and couldn't make it. True man of the people, international man of mystery, the inventor of the French 75, Mr. Bryant MacKellar. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that.
Man, there is a lot on you out there. That Wikipedia page is popping.
I gotta ask, is that 50% true, or was all of that spot on?
It was like forecasting future rents. I mean, it could be true. It's kind of a blend of truth and fiction and what could have been, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You will find me on the internet. Some good, some bad. Previous life was a vagabond golfer, high-level amateur golfer, college golfer at Auburn. 10 years on the professional tours all around the world, South America, ending up in a mortgage cubicle in Troy, Michigan, selling FHA streamlined refinances.
That's the dream right there.
All comes full circle, baby. It all comes back around.
It always comes back to you've got to get a real job eventually.
Yep. You did having to make 10-foot putts, to be able to eat dinner the next night, did you?
Yeah, well, a large group of us, we travel around the country and we would put our entry fees on our credit card. And we would have enough money by the time the credit card payment was due in order to pay our payments, or the dream would come to an end. So you want to talk about pressure? Try paying your bills by making putts on the mini tours.
Yeah, I'd be on the street.
I still get nervous over a birdie putt in men's league. I mean,
you grow up pretty quick. You play some good, some bad, and some pretty darn ugly golf courses for sure. That was actually the bank I went to work for. That was only supposed to work there for 3 months and then head back out on the road. But they were actually one of my sponsors, and that's kind of how it all came full circle. And when I got in the cubicle, it started, I think my second month, I closed 16 refinances, and I was like, wow, this is a heck of a lot easier than making putts for a living. Of course, the world had ended. Rates were way lower than they were for the previous few years. And this was 2009, say March.
Oh, so right after everything happened.
FHA streamlined refinances with no appraisals, no credit check.
It's beautiful. Everybody wants that day to come back. Well,
those were
the consumers, anyways.
They were the easiest cold calls you could ever make. I closed 200 transactions as an originator my first year. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you just hit the ground running and that's been what you've been doing since golf, right?
But I was there. So I was told that here's these people's numbers. Everybody gets a 5.5%. Okay. We were calling through the portfolio of service loans for brokers that have gone out of business, because this was 2009. So I'd call these people up. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, this is Bryant MacKellar with XYZ Bank. I'm about to send you this. And I said, after a few calls, everybody was saying yes. I said, well, I'm not even going to ask them if they want to do it. I'm just going to say, I'm going to send over this loan package. All I need you to do is sign it and return it with a copy of your driver's license and a bank statement. And I'm going to save you $214 a month. and you'll probably skip a month's payment because we're going to refinance. And how's
Mhm.
that sound? And not one person said, I don't like that. So I was like,
Who's not gonna like it?
I was like, so it came to Friday, everybody in the office went home, and here I was, professional golfer, that was used to scrapping for everything I got. And I said, hey, are we allowed to work on the weekends? They said, man, you're 100% commission, brother. You can do whatever you want to. So this is before everybody had a cell phone. So I'd show up on Saturday in my shorts and t-shirt, and I would just call everybody at home while they were watching, football or hockey or basketball.
Oh
And
yeah.
I would just work the phones all day. And I said, look, I'm going to work Saturday and Sunday. And every Tuesday when FedEx ran on Monday, I'd get about 15 loan packages back into the office. And everybody looked at me like I was absolutely crazy because they were all still trying to do purchases, and I was just riding the refinance wave. That's how I got into the business.
That's the move. Like my background, like my family, my father and my brother are LOs. My father's been in the business for like 40 plus years, right? So I've seen the good, the bad. His company probably was a part of that whole crash, American Home Mortgage back in the day.
Yeah.
They were a big problem. But yeah, I've seen it. But he would be out there recruiting guys. And to your point, like a lot of them, they were coming from maybe just purchase heavy shops
Sure.
and didn't really, the refis. He said it was like a foreign language to some of them, and it was crazy because it's just money on the table. And it's just, and to your point, like assumptive closes, like I'm gonna send you this stuff, and I'm gonna save you a couple $100. Like it's a no brainer.
It was an absolute no-brainer. Obviously, that product doesn't really exist
Right.
anymore. But at the time, you would have been silly to not participate. And in some cases, we probably delayed the inevitable for those people, and a lot of them probably shouldn't have got a new loan. But if you're a lender and you have a giant servicing portfolio and you're not calling through and trying to retain your clients when rates go down, somebody else is going to do it. And that was our theory, and I think it's still true to this day. Now, rates have continued to come down since then until when the spigot shut off in about June of this year. But since then, we're about 97% purchase. So now we actually know what we're doing.
Hey, there you go.
And I have to order a flip on every darn deal almost.
Yeah, but that's the model, right? I mean, the model is you get the purchases first, you do a good job doing it, and so then you have those people in your contacts list for when rates do happen to go down. Then you call them, and be like, "Hey, let's do this," and it's an ongoing cycle. Then they use you if they buy another place, and it's that cycle that continues to go on and on and on.
Look, if you're a loan originator, if you're a loan production office, and you are not considering a purchase that runs through your office as a customer for life, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We already know you. Hopefully, like, and trust us already, and we want to do your loan. I would say, if you have a first-time home buyer starting a family, buying a home from you, I would say they're probably going to use you 5 to 6 times throughout their life. If they keep coming back, they're going to need probably 5 or 6 mortgages. They're probably going to buy 2 or 3 houses, and they're going to refinance when rates go down. And that's our goal. Our goal is to be your lender for life. And sometimes it's just informing them or having a conversation on the phone of, hey, it's a great time to do this, or hey, it's not a great time to do this. It's the client doesn't always know what they need. They need somebody they can trust, and that's the goal. That's the rewarding part of what we do for a living.
Yeah, and you guys deal with you're in one of those areas of the country because so say like loan officers that work in Kansas City where I am, we don't have to deal with too many short-term rental type situations, but you guys down there do, and so you guys have had to learn that's been a new trend coming out. You've had to learn how to handle how income is coming from short-term rentals and how you can get loans approved using short-term rental income and so forth. So if you like let us know a little bit that learning curve and how things are going with that type of situation.
So VRBO, Airbnb, reality television, and social media created this monster of everybody needs to buy a second home or an investment property and get rich. And and so we're in one of those markets: Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Perdido Key, Alabama, Perdido Key, Florida. Those are all in our area, in our sphere of influence down here, and we are a destination. We're probably a tier 2 or 3 as far as cost. You get over to 30A, over to 30A areas, Santa Rosa Beach area, $3, $2, $3, $4, $5 million properties on the beach. Come over here to Baldwin County, you can still pick something up $4, $5, $6, $800,000 that will cash flow on short-term rentals. And so everybody's doing it. Regular people bought second homes at the beach, and they would use them 3 or 4 weeks a year and rent them out the other time. And I have friends that have a 2 or 3 bedroom condo on the beach that generates between $60,000 and $100,000 a year of gross rental income. And the short term and Airbnb and the ease of which those systems work have really increased the profitability. And then $1 you can charge per night. Originally back in the day in the 90s, we'd have snowbirds come down in the winter and they'd rent your place out for $1,500 a month, because short-term rentals were kind of harder to find. You had to call an agency and they'd call you back, and the internet didn't really facilitate that deal. Well, now you go and Google, vacation rentals in Gulf Shores, Alabama. There's 1,000 people renting out waterfront, Gulffront condos, anywhere from $150 a night to $3,000 a night. And so that drives tourists. Tourists tend to turn into second homeowners because they want to live the dream. They want to vacation there and rent it out. And it drives their surrounding markets as well. A lot of people move to the beach and realize, I don't want to live at the beach. I want to live in Daphne or Fairhope, which is our more residential area. And so the whole market is really, we're driven by tourism. And we're a destination that you can drive to and get here in about 8 hours from the majority of the eastern United States. So during the pandemic, it was insane, the amount of people that were coming.
I bet, man. It's like the Lake of the Ozarks. Like the Lake of the Ozarks here in Missouri reported their highest volume of visitors, new purchases, rentals during COVID, during the pandemic. Like the Lake of the Ozarks exploded. It was like COVID didn't exist at the lake. Like that's what everybody joked about.
Well, and everybody said, well, if you're outside, it's not a big deal. So everybody's like, well, you're telling me I can go ride around in my boat and sit on the beach and drink light beer and it's COVID compliant? Let's go do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to send 3 or 4 emails a day, and I'm still actually technically working from my office in Nashville or wherever you're, supposed to be working. So it just created this whole new mindset of living where you want to be, or vacationing and working all at the same time. And we just had an incredible boom, and I don't see it ever going away.
No, it's here to stay. I mean, as long as we've touched on it on a couple of our previous podcasts, some states and cities, counties, whoever's in charge are trying to put different laws in place where you have to be a resident to do the short-term rentals and things like that. Like certain states are starting to push those kinds of things out, but it's not going anywhere overall, the business. No.
Oh yeah. I mean, the smartphone with the addition of an Airbnb or a VRBO app has made it so that you can sit there, waiting in line at Starbucks and go find a vacation rental anywhere in the world and book right there. So that's changed the way people vacation and pick where they want to go. Sometimes they don't really even put a whole lot of thought into it. They're like, yeah, $1,500 for 4 nights. Let's do it. Booked. And then they just kind of figure it out later.
And then you see the surprise $400 cleaning fees.
Yeah, $400 for toilet paper.
And then they have this list of demands: walk our dog, scrub the toilets. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
To your point about, them trying to pull back the reins and restrict, we've had some of our more residential areas that have said, look, we want to limit rentals in this area to 30 days at a minimum, but they tend to be in more residential areas where people are occupying the homes as primary residences. And I get that. Like the home that I go to every night, that's very residential in nature. I don't want spring break short-term rentals right next door, partying until 3:00 in the morning. Now, if I'm in a beachfront, Gulffront condo, I think you can kind of expect that more. And that's kind of
what comes with the territory. Yeah.
It has to make sense. Like, no, we're not going to put, a short-term party house in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So the HOAs and the cities have created guidelines just to kind of curb the craziness. And it has affected values. It does hurt values when no short-term rentals are allowed, especially if it's a vacation type property.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, if you think about it, like if you're trying to be an economical traveler and you don't want to spend the money for the beachfront, you'd maybe be okay taking something a mile away from the beach and driving to the beach every day, and that's going to be cheaper. But then there's going to be restrictions on those because it's going to be more residential type area. So then it kind of takes that option away from people too.
So sometimes you get like a mile from the beach and you're in the county. We've seen is like unzoned county areas tend to not have the restrictions.
Yeah.
But that is a trend for sure. Lending on condominiums at the beach has gotten more difficult and expensive. So we are seeing a lot of people more willing, maybe COVID caused this too. They didn't want to be around so many people. Like, do you really want to ride an elevator to the 28th floor with 100 other people to go back and forth every day? Or do you want to be at your little 2-bedroom single family house with a pool in the backyard and then maybe drive a golf cart to the public beach access a mile down the road? We're seeing a lot more of those non-beachfront single family homes that are serving as rentals. I'm actually in the process of trying to build 2 of them right now. I got a deal on some land that is very close to the public access, maybe about a mile from the Gulf. And I was going to build 2 3-bedroom houses with a pool in the backyard of each. So large parties could all stay in the same place, you know?
Yeah. And hook them up with a couple golf carts and they're good to go, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Granted, I got my quote to build it and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so timeout. So
hey, lumber went down.
Lumber was down.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the those kid houses that are like 2 or 3 bedrooms?
I did like a modular home.
Yeah, you can find them on Amazon even. Like they're $50,000.
Yeah, no, not those that small. I don't know if they'd allow me to build those there, but I looked at like modular homes, but man, they were no cheaper. They were still like I think the bare minimum was $195 a square foot. Okay. And then it was like a $50,000 delivery charge. So it was probably as expensive as building a stick built house.
Okay.
I was getting ready to break ground, say last July, and I just kind of paused it and said, I kind of want to see what happens with this market. You know, interest rates had gone up. Cost to build was at an all-time high. I just wanted to see where it settled out. I'm not in any kind of hurry to make a bad decision. So I just said, give me 6 months to think about it. And I'm kind of glad I did.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely.
Good. All right. Change the topic here. So tell us about what you got going on now. So we know that you started off for XYZ slinging refis. So like, what exactly are you doing right now? We haven't touched on where, like, what the office is.
I run a branch for Bank of England Mortgage. We are a mortgage lender based in England, Arkansas, which is
so it's not overseas Bank of England.
We are, the Bank of England is like the Federal Reserve. It's not even really a bank. So we're the Bank of England Mortgage from England, Arkansas. Established in 1898, originally an agriculture rice farmer bank. Very small, humble beginnings. I think we're about a $350 million bank, which is very small comparatively. I believe we have over 100 loan production offices around the country. And last year, I believe we lent about $5 billion in residential mortgages. So that's kind of our setup. We're a super lender that operates in conjunction with a small FDIC regulated bank. And people come here to stay. We pride ourselves in keeping our staff for long periods of time. We are a kind of place where I can pick up the phone and I can talk to the people making the decisions. We still have a loan committee, which is kind of cool. It's old fashioned. We discuss loans. We don't just deny loans or approve loans. We can actually get on the telephone and work things out and come up with solutions. which I came from a very large lender before this. And, you would send an email to some inbox and wait 3 weeks for a response. And the response was usually, I'm sorry, we've already given all the exceptions for the month. I'm like, well, crap, I didn't get any. What does that do? How good does that do me? So, moved here because I needed to have some personal touch. I needed to be able to create and make some decisions locally. I needed to be able to stick my neck out for borrowers and clients that 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 I believed in, and that's the luxury of working for a smaller company. I currently have 6 loan officers, 3 local production support staff. I use our corporate underwriters, which I know all of them. I talk to them almost every day. If they can't figure something out, they pick up the phone and they call me on my cell. That's awesome. That is something that you will not get at a lot of lenders. Like I was saying earlier, I think we did 96% purchase last year. So we're all purchase production. I pride myself on educating the clients, and I'm really passionate about bringing loan officers in from different industries and teaching them the business and teaching them to be the best. That's what's really fun for me. I don't bring on loan officers that are retreads or burned out at a different lender. I like to bring people from the ground up, grow them organically. And, what ends up happening is every lender in town is trying to recruit my loan officers, but that's fine. We create loyalty, and I like the energy. So
those guys are also really hungry, right? I mean, that younger generation typically, like you say, you don't want the guys that are all burned out, and they want to make money.
What I find is that you take a guy that's maybe making $40,000 or $50,000 in some job that he's not passionate about, and if you sense that he maybe is coachable and is willing to put in the time, you can show him that, look, in this industry, the sky's the limit, and you have what it takes to do better than what you're doing currently. And those are the fun situations where you can take a young professional and teach them a skill that they'll have for the rest of their life, and that they can do better for themselves and their family. And that's awesome. And you need that energy in this business. This business will wear you out. You need that young energy, and it brings everybody else around them up a notch as well. My kind of one of my pride and joy loan officers that I hired 2 years ago, he was spraying bugs for a termite company. He applied to be a processor, and I said, "Oh, I'll go talk to this guy. I don't really need a processor, but let me just go talk to him." And he said, "I want to be a processor." I said, "You're going to be a loan officer." I said, "You're going to come work for me to be a loan officer." He was hustling. He was working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet. And last year he closed 94 loans in the second year. So
nice.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I mean, if I can do that 20 more times in my career, I think that's a success.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. Like I mentioned, my brother just became an LO last year. And
Sure.
after fighting back, I guess, my father about getting into the business. And he's figured it out though. Like his bread and butter has been like 2 or 3Ks, fix
Sure.
fix and flip stuff, because that's what the world he came from. And so I'm trying to help him, educate him that way. But listen, go with what you know. Like, you can market this stuff, you can talk to these people, and you can help them. You have those kind of contacts. And he ended up at a predominantly refi shop, or I'm sorry, a purchase shop in Ohio. So he's working through it, but you're right. They're making hand over fist money better than he was before, and it's just a better quality of life.
Well, and it's a skill set, and it's rewarding because you're helping families, and you run into a family. And I have a quick story. I helped somebody close a condo that was denied by a couple other lenders, and actually the seller that I didn't even know came up to me at church a couple of years later and said, "I want to know that you changed our life. Like, we really need to sell this and get our money out, because we had to relocate to be with a relative that was sick, and dying. And so if they weren't able to get somebody to be able to finance their condo, they weren't going to be able to move on with their life. And I didn't even realize that they recognized that I was the lender on the transaction, but we came up with solutions. We got the deal closed, and she never forgot that. And like, I see this lady, a couple times a year, and she still brings it up every time. And I mean, way better than the money is the recognition and
That's what it's all about right there.
but I help somebody,
Yeah, knowing that you truly helped out people in a situation where they needed it.
and I didn't even know the situation was going on at the time.
Yeah.
But now, it's probably one of the top 10 stories I've had in, I don't know, thousands of loans we've closed.
What about top 10 appraisal stories?
Oh, I don't know if I have time for all that.
Wasn't that you that sent me the one on the pilings that was like already underwater? And you're like, you think we can get the appraisal on this?
So a guy calls us up, sends us a picture of Zillow. Hey, I want to buy this house. Okay, it's $1 million on Dolphin Island. So we're looking at it, and I'm like, well, that's cool, the interior pictures. And like, typically the exterior picture is the first one you look at, right? So the last picture on Zillow is like picture 45. I'm like, wait a second. This house is in the Gulf of Mexico, not on the Gulf of Mexico. It is in the Gulf of Mexico. And I don't know, if you look at a map, Dolphin Island is the barrier island on the Mobile side of the bay. And, you go over a bridge to get there. It's an island. Well, every time a hurricane comes, the shape of the beach changes. I don't know if you guys know this, but beaches move around. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's bad news for people living on the beach, because sometimes the beach under your house goes away. Well, that's what happened here on the west end of Dolphin Island. The beach is absolutely gone. And so a lot of people just simply lost their house. And it was, imagine trying to, give a value on a property that is no longer there and is in the Gulf of Mexico. I believe the Corps of Engineer owns it at that point. I don't even know. But anyway, we're like, sir, this house is in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think we can do this. And he's like, but I love it. He's like, but look at the view. I was like, it's a great view. There was a kayak next to the front stairs. You had to kayak from the stairs to the beach to your car. That's how you got in and out of this property. And it was sitting up 10 feet. Anyway, we couldn't get title insurance on it. We couldn't get an appraiser to take the order. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't even want to waste time on this, because the underwriter is going to be like, what if this house is gone next month? I mean, it very easily could be. Yeah. So we financed them a different property, but actually somebody ended up buying that house with cash.
No.
So did you say it was selling for $1 million?
$1 million, which at the time was probably, had it been on the beach and not in the Gulf,
yeah,
it was probably worth it probably would have been about $1.5 million, but it was a good deal. So people were like, oh, look at this.
Yeah. What if the beach comes back? Another storm moves the beach back over there, and then it's good to go.
I mean, if you're a gambler, I guess you buy those lots that are out in the Gulf and wait for the beach to come back. I guess. I don't know.
It's a futures bet,
It's a future land speculation that the Gulf of Mexico is going to get smaller. That was a good one. We had a manufactured home, modular home / trailer that had been converted into a single family home, which I'd never heard of. So said the story from the listing agent. The appraiser actually was not our appraiser. You guys didn't give him to us, but this was a deal that died somewhere else, came to life over at our doorstep. And this is a manufactured home that's been converted into a single family home. I said, well, golly, I just didn't know that was possible. I was like,
so they did stick built renovations and additions around the manufactured home?
I don't know what they did, but they it looked like a house. It had I think they ripped the top off a trailer and then did an attic, with 2x4s with trusses and stuff, and blew some walls out. I mean, it was the fanciest trailer here. It wouldn't probably roll down the street. I'll give you this. No. But wow. I think, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Like, it had some I-beams underneath it and metal.
Well, there you go.
Going, and I was like, they're like, well, we can't find the HUD sticker. I was like, that's because you took it off.
It's gone. It's long gone.
So that died. But that was an interesting appraiser situation. We talked to the county and they said, we need you to come out and reassess this as single family, not a manufactured home. They said, okay, we'll come out and look. And the guy calls me up and says, nah, once it's a manufactured home, it's always a manufactured home. So
Can't change it.
I don't know. Lots of good appraisal stories, but those are two that come to mind. Y'all do a good job. Y'all do a good job as an intermediary. A lot of people don't know what an AMC does.
Man, tell the people. Tell the people. We've been trying to say it for months now on this.
Yeah. Here's your short clip. Ready? This is what you're gonna like. This is why I use an AMC as a lender. I don't want to have to deal with the back and forth of opinion between the homeowner and the realtors about what is or what is not on a property, or what comps should have been used or not. Like, you guys can kind of be a buffer for us, and of course we can always say, well, the AMC said this, and it kind of makes us look good. We don't want to get super involved in the process. Now, you know, I want the correct comps. I want the correct value, whether it comes in higher, lower, or at the purchase price. And
accurate value. Value.
I want the correct value. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you're accepting an offer on a property that's way out of the market, then everybody needs to know, kind of before the appraisal even comes back, that it's probably not going to appraise for what you wrote that contract for. Just because you wrote a contract $100,000 over the list price doesn't mean that the appraiser is going to say it's worth $100,000 over the list price.
Amen. Man, but you've been around long enough that you realize that, and you know how to have those kind of conversations like ahead of time with your clients, right? You could imagine the conversations we've had to have with borrowers or other LOs that weren't as experienced. Man, over the last 2 years.
Look, this might be an unpopular opinion, but if I'm buying a house, let's say I'm buying a house for $300,000 and the appraisal comes back for $280,000, I'm ecstatic. I'm gonna say, look,
negotiations.
This thing only appraised for $280,000. Why am I going to pay $300,000?
Exactly.
Prove to me the appraiser's wrong. Prove it. Show me the facts. And they're gonna say, well, there's 12 other people that want to buy it for $300,000. Well, that may be. And our market get a little out of whack, but it still gives me some negotiating power. It gives me some negotiating power as a buyer. Not too often do the buyers really realize that. They just want it to go smooth, and they just don't have the experience. They haven't bought or sold enough property to realize that that's just another step in the process. It's not the end of the world. Typically 90% of deals will be worked out when an appraisal comes back short in some way, shape, or form. It's still going to close.
Yeah. And that's the thing. What you're talking about with us is like, so usually I get notified, like if there's an issue with the transaction. In your example, say it came in at $280,000 on a purchase price $300,000. You'll shoot me an email, be like, hey, can you take a look at this one? Like, first place I'm going is immediately page 1 of the appraisal, where it shows what it was listed for, when it was listed, and then now what's done the contract for. Yeah. And it's like, this thing was originally listed at $260,000. And then the purchase price on it is $300,000. So it's $40,000 over listing. Like, of course, probably the appraisal is not going to come in at $300,000. So then obviously you go look at the comps and see if everything makes sense and search for other comps. But it's like, that's immediately where you go. And you can put a story together where it's like, yeah, this thing probably didn't stand a chance.
It didn't stand a chance, but and you don't know whether the buyer thinks it's going to appraise or not. And that's the beauty of the AMC and an appraiser, to give you an opinion of value. I mean, that's why lenders don't give you an opinion of the value. Now we do get some automated, results that say we accept the value of this transaction. And in some of those cases, it's kind of weird. We're like, hey, congratulations, Mr. Johnson. Like, we approved your loan. We got your purchase contract. Oh, and by the way, DU said that you don't need an appraisal because they accepted the value of $300,000 for the sales price. And a lot of times they get pissed. They're like, wait a second, you're telling me I don't get an appraisal? I'm like, I mean,
you're like, this is great. This is great.
But we don't need one.
So much stress in that situation.
You can't win. You can't win. And I get it. They want to know, maybe they were hoping it underappraised so they could go back and renegotiate.
Speaking of those, though, so the waivers, like how what are you seeing lately the past few months with waivers? If waivers gone down, you're getting less. Obviously, we're doing less transactions probably than we were when they were really humming, a year ago. But as far as like the amount of waivers on loans, how like what percentage has it raised? Has it gone down?
I think it's not so much the amount of waivers on loans; it's where the loans are. Okay, you go into a very standardized neighborhood where, say, everything is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 200 homes, and there's been 25 sales in the last month in there, and they all are right in line. The system recognizes that address and it's able to determine, hey, every home in here is 1,928 square feet. They all sell for 306. The purchase price of 308 is probably smack in line. We're going to go ahead and accept this. Now, a lot of times it's on the loans where there's more money down. So not very often are we getting an appraisal waiver on a 3% down conventional or a 5% down conventional. But really, if you're doing 20% down on a $300,000 house in a neighborhood that's very homogenous, is the word that comes to mind. That's the highest percentage of waivers we're seeing. Now, you go out in the country and you got one house is a $2 million horse farm. The next property is a 1960s brick ranch. The next home is a double wide. The system has a hard time recognizing value and placing value on the structure and what's around it and the comparable sales. So that's what I've seen. And I would say it's about the same. I know a lot of appraisers have called us and they're worried about losing their job because the appraisal process is going to get fully automated, but I just don't see it happening. I mean,
no, you can't take the human element out of it completely. You just can't.
Yeah. I mean, 2 equal homes in the same neighborhood. One has got completely redone bathrooms. The other one has completely 30-year-old bathrooms. I mean, there's a difference in value there, and no automated system can recognize that.
No, correct.
Because, so that's what I see. And again, that's just our market. But, that's what I know is our market.
All right, rapid. I came up with a new name for these: the rapid rush requests.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it fits the appraisal. We get our rapid rush requests all the time. Yeah. So I'm going to hit you with our quickies here. Apple or Apple iPhone, or are you an Android guy? Blue or green text message?
I used to be the problem. I used to be Android, and then I realized I was the problem. I'm Android.
So you made the switch. So Charlie is still the odd guy out. Let's go. I need to start keeping score on this. He's an Android guy. Ignore him.
You are the problem. You are the problem if you have Android.
Yep, you are the problem. All right. So who is the best Tiger mascot in sports?
I mean, the Auburn Tigers. Hello.
Aren't you guys a War Eagle? Like what? This is so confusing to me. Like we're the Auburn Tigers, but our mascot's an eagle.
Kind of our chant is War Eagle, like War Eagle. Hey. So when you go to the game, the start of the game, the eagle flies around the stadium on the inside, and it comes down and it circles the entire stadium. And they're like, whoa. And then it dives at the very end of center field and lands. And the whole stand goes, War Eagle. Hey, that's really cool. The story is, sick. It's a long story, but for the quick questions, it's probably not. So we're both, but we are the Tigers.
All right. What is the gas station in the South? The East Coast has Wawa's. They got the quick. We have Quick Trips. What is the go-to that you like where you get your food, you get your gas?
We have Buc-ee's. We have a gas station that people go to just to eat and see it because it's that special. Buc-ee's.
Okay, I've never been to a Buc-ee's. You ever been to a Buc-ee's, Charlie?
No, never.
It has over 200 gas pumps.
Is that one single?
Wait, what? Yeah.
You need.
Is that is it the same as the one over in Texas? What's the huge one over in Texas? Is kind of the same way.
Yes,
that's Buc-ee's. Okay, okay.
Now, I have friends that go there on Friday night to eat and see it and shop.
Yeah, because the store is humongous, tons of. That's wild.
You sometimes have to wait 30 minutes to get into the parking lot.
I gotta look this up. This is wild. Like, what are you buying
That's
there besides that iPhone charger? Like, what shopping are you doing?
Barbecue sandwiches, brisket sandwiches. They sell grills. They sell like souvenirs, coolers,
They have clothes.
They sell like it's a you see signs like 100 miles away, like 88 miles to Buc-ee's, 71 miles to Buc-ee's. Like
Really?
it's world famous.
All right. So who is your dream golf foursome? What three are you playing with? They alive or dead? It doesn't matter. Your dream golf foursome.
I would say Ben Hogan, Lee Trevino, myself, and my dad.
Nice.
What
is what's your favorite course you've ever played anywhere in the world?
So my boy, Duffner, and he was playing up at Shinnecock Hills for the U.S. Open. So we went up the week before, and we played a couple guys on my team and him, and he rented a house up there. We went up and played. I would say we played the National Golf Club up there, which is like top 5 in the world. That was really cool because of the history, and we actually got kicked out because we couldn't remember the member that invited us there. So that was kind of interesting. I think that Duffner wrote a blog about it or something because he couldn't remember his agent it's very snooty. It's, very exclusive. We got kicked out, and then he couldn't remember who invited us, and we played, and the whole day was comped, and then they had him sign the major champions flag. We got kicked out. That place is amazing. But when I was in college, I got an opportunity to play Augusta National. We had a member that invited 3 of us to come over on a Sunday about a month before the Masters. And that was really special. I think it was us and one other group. We had caddies. Man, the sad thing is you know what it looks like on television. Then you get out there like, man, my ball didn't go nearly as far as those guys, but it wasn't as firm. So like on 15, I blasted a drive, the par 5.
Oh yeah.
And I had like 255 left. And I'm like, come on, I'm 23 years old. I can hit this far, buddy. I got
you aren't clear of the water. You aren't clear of the water on that second shot.
I gotta lay up. That's some BS. So that was cool because you already knew the course in your mind, and you're out there playing it. Really special. Yeah.
All right. Last one. What's your biggest pet peeve out there on the golf course? Biggest pet peeve?
Slow play. I mean,
always
people that just, they take themselves too serious. They read Golf Digest on the way to the golf course, and then they're out there, going through the motions, and then they hit a crappy top shot in the pond. Like, just move along with the game. Like, move along. No golf is worth slow golf, and bad golf is tolerable as long as you play quick.
Exactly. If you're playing bad golf, man, get up there, find your ball, and hit it.
And nobody really cares. Like, you don't have to tell us why you're playing bad. Like, just move on, go to the next hole.
I like it. Bryant, man, thank you. We've taken up way too much of your time. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Take care. All right, man. Well, I think that about does it for us today.
Solid
guest, Bryant.
How about that,
man?
Bryant? How about B-Back?
Oh, you said he would bring the heat. He was good, man. I really liked hearing the stories. All right, all you great listeners out there, go ahead and if you're not already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, IG, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure you're telling everybody about all the great stuff we're putting out. Go tell a friend, not just your mom or your dad.
Just like the mortgage business. Referral systems. Tell one person about it. Be like, these guys aren't that bad to listen to. Just give it a try.
And we're getting better every week.
Somewhat, yeah. Subjective or objective. Subjective.
All right, dude. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Peace.